Buongiorno, my name is Manuela Huber. I am a local guide and I would like to introduce you my beloved Verona. Verona is a very ancient city, and since 2000 it is in the UNESCO Heritage List. This place is well known as the capital town of love because of the story of Romeo and Juliet, and it is also called the town of music because of the opera performances in the Roman amphitheater. We are now in one of the most romantic places of Verona, on the top of St. Peter's Hill. From here we can enjoy a beautiful view of the town. This area has always been well known by the locals, and a lot of visitors come nowadays thanks to the funicular, thanks to the cableway. The city center has been created more than 2000 years ago by the Romans in a place they considered to be strategical. The river Adige was considered as one of the best defenses for the town, so the old Verona was created into the biggest loop of the river Adige itself. Through the centuries, the town became bigger and bigger, but most of the palaces and the buildings were built toward the south. Up here where we are now is a fortress built in the 1800s when Verona was under the Habsburgs. And from this area where we are now down to the river, we have what remains of a Roman theater. The ancient Roman theater is used during the summer. It's possible to enjoy here comedies, music and ballet. Just a few steps from Piazza dei Signori are the monumental graves of the Scala family. And next to this cemetery is the so-called Romeo's house. The house of the Montagues, Monticoli in Italian, dates back to the medieval times. They were probably merchants. The house was later sold to different families. Now it is completely private. We cannot see it inside, but maybe you can have a romantic dinner in one of the restaurants which are now on the ground floor of this huge building. On the wall of the house is an inscription with a few words taken from Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. Where is Romeo? I've lost myself, I'm not here. And of course, when you are in love, you are lost. You feel you are lost. Do you know that you can write letters to Juliet? The first letters began to arrive more or less 1 century ago. And the Juliet's Club is the place where the letters are kept and where there are volunteers who reply. The address can only be Juliet, Verona, Italy. Piazza dei Signori, or Piazza Dante, is a good place where to appreciate the architectures. In this square we have buildings of the medieval times in red bricks, but we also have palaces which were built starting from the 1400s when Verona was a part of the Serenissima Republic. The name Piazza dei Signori means the Lord's Square. And the reason is that the lords of Verona, the Scalas, lived in this area for more than 100 years. That's exactly the period of Romeo and Juliet. In the middle of the square is a beautiful statue representing Dante, the national poet. He was born in Florence, but he spent a few years in town, and he mentions the Montagues and the Capulets in one of the chapters of his Divine Comedy. In this square, mainly in the afternoon, you can see also a lot of people, a lot of children running around, playing football, riding their bicycles. So this is still a very lively place. A good way to experience life as the locals do is to sit down in one of the restaurants or cafeterias in the square and enjoy a drink. 500 years ago, Verona was called the Frescoes town. There were many houses in town completely decorated in frescoes. The family who bought the building in front of us used to sell spices. Spices were not available in Italy, so of course the Mazzantis became very rich quickly and they could afford this beautiful decoration. Frescoes were a way to show how much money the town had, but also a way to teach something to the locals. So in particular, the paintings here represent virtues and vices of the humankind. This is Piazza delle Erbe. 2000 years ago, this was our forum, the religious, political and economical center of the town. Later, after a strong earthquake which destroyed Verona in 1117, the locals covered the ruins with what you see nowadays, and the square became the market. The name changed into Piazza delle Erbe, the Herbs Square, but this was actually a kind of open-air big shopping center, a mall, where people could buy everything. Nowadays too, this is a very lively place where you can enjoy a walk, where you can stroll among the shops and see souvenirs and gadgets, and where you can still buy vegetables and fruit. The buildings facing this square tell about the long history of Verona. So the Roman ruins are more or less 3 meters underneath, but on the square we have medieval buildings and houses built during the Venetian times. Couples, lovers and single people from all over the world come here to put a lock and to dream about love. This is the post box of the Juliet Club. When you are in town, if you wish to write to Juliet, you can drop your letter here and maybe a reply will come soon. Castel Vecchio, the old castle, was the last residence of the Scala family. The Scalas, who lived in the city center in the beginning, decided to move outside the town, and that castle was built as a place where to be protected, both in case of insurrections of the citizens and in case of attacks from other towns. It was used as a military barrack till the Second World War. Nowadays it houses a museum where you can enjoy a collection of paintings from the medieval times to the 1700s. The Castel Vecchio Bridge is a very romantic place where to have a walk, and a lot of Veronese people as well go there to take their pictures after wedding ceremonies. Piazza Bra is nowadays the main square. In the middle there are beautiful gardens and a nice fountain. So this is a good place where to sit down and just have a look around. On one side of the square there are palaces which were in the past centuries houses of wealthy families. There are now restaurants and cafeterias, and this is a very crowded place during the summer, mainly after the opera performances. For sure, the most famous monument we have in town is the Roman amphitheater, the arena. It was built in the 4th century after Christ, and exactly like the Colosseum in Rome, this was used to have fights of animals and gladiators. In 1913, the arena became the Opera Theatre. By will of a local tenore, Giovanni Zenatello, the first opera was performed. He thought it was a pity not to use this place anymore, so he went in with some friends to check the acoustic, and they realized it was very, very good. Thanks to this same Zenatello, in 1947, Maria Callas from the States arrived here. She had her debut inside the arena with La Gioconda, and she married a local man, so there is another love story in Verona. There is no world without Verona walls, Shakespeare says, and I agree, so I wait for you here. Ciao!